Apparently, yang is the positive and yin is the negative, so you're the yang to my yin.
Oh, great.
Just
Fact of the day.
Fact of the day. Today I learned, exactly. So we have our third map, and it is going to be Battlefield of Eternity. The series is tied. The good guys successful on Tomb of the Spider Queen, and the Ducks, they still have hope.
And this was a pick by good guys, right?
Yo.
Yo, does that mean yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, wait.
I think it was a
No,
pick
it's
by good
Zealots.
guys. Was it?
Has to be Zealots, yeah.
Josh, can you confirm? Was that good guys?
Zealots.
Josh?
Zealots.
We need Josh.
Zealots.
Okay. He responds back in my ear. I was going to say, if it's a good guys pick here, this is a battleground that I love seeing them on. I feel like they have a style that is very approachable. It was a pick by good guys.
Really?
Yep.
Damn
Good
it.
job, Yin. You messed up. You messed up. You're
Wait,
done.
but then the other one would... Okay, now I'm confused as well.
Zealots
Thanks,
have first
Josh.
pick. Good guys grab the battleground here, which is great for them because this is a battleground that I feel like they do excel at. Processing.
Yeah, processing.
Dot.
My head is filled with all of the caster math that we had to do for the standings and the potential three-way tie, the four-way tie. So, yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
Josh and I got you here. This is a
Of
battleground.
course, he's looking at it right now.
Yeah, he's got it down.
Yeah,
We're good to go. Baby
He's down.
Josh.
He's just like... Josh is like sitting in the truck right now, just sitting there eating banana pineapple pizza, and he's just like looking at the screen like, what?
The studio was talking about it. Like, why don't we order North America for their region to make sure they have a pizza sitting here in the middle that was pineapple and banana? But I don't even think you
I
could
want one too.
I don't think you could order it here in America. Like, I actually think that if you were to order it, they would cancel your order as they would assume that you were just joking around.
Okay, you just order the pineapple pizza, which you can get here, and you
But
buy a
that's
banana.
work. That's ridiculous.
What
That's
do you mean
basically
work?
cooking. Ugh.
Okay, if that's cooking, then I'm a chef.
Master Chef Caldor
Yeah, Master
show
Chef
coming
Caldor.
at you this fall in November. Check it out. Let's move into this. Zealots and Team Good Guys. BOE will be the battleground.
Yo, BOE, and I think the Zealots are going to play this a little bit more standard than those shenanigans that we're attempting to pull off on Tomb of the Spider Queen. For now, the ban on Uther, first of all. But the Good Guys, if that's just really the map choice, and I believe you, then it's basically for them now all... Of course it's their map choice. They won the last map. Ugh, for some reason in my head, I was just like, that they lost the last one.
You're
and
still
now
on
gave
this.
up. Yeah, now I'm just trying, I'm figuring out now why I was so confused. For some reason I thought they lost the last one. I was like, wait a second. Auntie and his boys would give up first pick? That doesn't make any sense. So, but yeah, they won the last map, so now it makes sense. Okay, I'm finally, it took me a little bit long, I apologize, but I'm finally with the program.
It's going to be okay, Caldor.
I know.
You're doing great.
I hope so. I'm
You're doing
trying.
great. Today you get a silver star. No gold star. You're not going above and beyond.
Wait,
a
I
silver
got
star.
gold stars for the other days?
Yeah.
Where are they?
They're on my computer. I drew them. They look great. They look awesome.
I don't want anything that you draw. I've seen your drawings.
Ariel and Vala, pick up for Team Good Guys. Ariel's fallen down a little bit, but one that you see on this battleground often because people are going to group up pretty often, especially in the middle of the map where you're having that engage constantly happening, and Vala getting her poke in always gives you that hope.
Yeah, Vala for the race on the Immortal alone. Absolutely fantastic. Now the Zealots with ETC as the early pick for the flexibility that he offers. Question, of course, how do they plan to pressure the Immortal? Are we going to see Greymane? Is it going to be a Lunara? Will we later on see a Malthael maybe on their side? There's a lot of options they have. And given that it is the Zealots, you could very well see Sonya again.
Yeah, because you got Sonya come in there from the Zormani. Dahaka, too, is someone that pops up occasionally in this battleground. Again, falling off, but one that you shouldn't forget about. He can do all right if you want to race to that level 10. But we do get the Greymane and the Rhaegar. Again, all out on the race here, being able to drop that Lightning Bond on top of a Greymane. He will shred the Immortal.
3 animals on the side of Zealots. We can get 5, right?
Your analysis is killing today.
Oh, come on. Yeah, Dahaka would be 4. And I guess Lunara counts as well.
Yeah? No, she is an animal. Well, that's a half animal.
She's a Bambi. Bambi's mom.
Motherly figure. Lucio being banned out possibly. Lucio showed pretty often with Expert yesterday. Being able to drop him in with an Arthas or hard melee is pretty good.
To be fair, Lucio is actually something that the Zealots are, first of all. They were the ones who came out with that. Where they said they go for the double support Lucio. They showed that a lot with their Arthas combination on Sky Temple for the first time. And that was pretty impressive. And later on, they used a few more, like a few additional times. And that's when teams started to really ban it out. And there's, by the way, also now Sonya that we pointed out a bit earlier. Could have seen it for the Zealots, but also on the side of the Good Guys. So The good guys have a huge amount of immortal pressure with not only an arrow build Vala, but also we have now Sonya in the mix. She's great on the solo lane, but once she gets onto the immortal, she can also do a lot of damage, whereas Arthas is going to try and control Greymane as much as possible. And that pick is actually pretty cool, because not only do you have the tool now where you can control the front line, you also take it away from your opponent, since with ETC and Greymane, Arthas would already have been pretty fantastic.
I mean, both with Sonya and Arthas, this is a good draft here from Team Good Guys to take away strengths that you have from Zealots, but also bolster their strengths on this battleground. Good moves by Team Good Guys. I'm loving their draft so far. But now the Zealots on their 4th and 5th pickup. This is where they have to bring it all together. What are we going to see from Harmony? Are we going to see another tank here? Maybe some engage? Will we see that Leoric that he did play last week? Not the best Leo play, but he still pulled it out.
He could drop Mouth, for example.
Yeah.
Mouth is good against Arthas, works over there on the solo lane. You have pressure against the Immortal. I wouldn't mind that at all. And there we have it. Malthael chosen and Genji on the last pick. So Genji is going to be interesting. I personally did not think that they would draw off Genji, not with a lack of Uther for the Divine Shield being around. Rhaegar can of course still help. It's not like Genji is useless in this setup, but I could have seen them just simply go for a mage hero and have someone with additional poke in their setup. So now they're going to try and put some more pressure onto the backline with him, have something very mobile in the setup as well. But yeah, I could have seen a mage on this end.
So I was wondering about the Uther, but when you think about Uther against a Malthael, that winds up being 3 melees that he can get a lot of value out of Tormented Souls. And granted, you have Benediction at 16, but that might be too late. The Tyrande comes in instead, giving you an additional range and poke here. I like that pick more than the Uther. What do you think, Mr. Caldor?
Wasn't he banned on the first spot by the Zealots?
Oh, he was.
I was trying to look at it, and then Josh took it away from us. So yeah, thanks, Josh.
He was banned on the first one. So I like it even more because Uther was not available, so they went into the Tyrande. Solid drafting there.
All right, so quick lesson for Josh here. Josh, that lower third does not show bans.
Let's improve the broadcast. Today is a goofy day here in Europe.
It's the last day of the season.
We're just going all out.
I'm sorry, right? It's a lot of fun actually here today. We have good games today. I'm pretty hyped for them, and I think most of the cast so far reflected. But you said it right. This is a bit of a goofy day too.
It's a goofy day. We're going all in here.
And Josh is being silly to me in comms, so I'm like,
is he whispering to you?
Yeah.
Why are you whispering to Caldor and
you know, I'm like, I'm not quite sure if Uther got banned, but I think he got banned. And you're immediately like, yeah, I think you're right. And then Josh said, you can see it at the bottom of the screen. And I'm looking at the bottom of the screen. I'm like, I don't think so.
You know what's funny? Is that's a safe way for Josh to basically say, do your jobs and look at the draft screen. He just reminds you in a casual manner, in like a very upbeat manner. He's like, yeah, just look at the screen.
I was like, don't take it away so fast from me. I was like, sad panda.
So with the drafts coming out, let's go ahead and move into game number 3. We are all tied up 1-1. Let's see who will pull off the lead here as we get ready for the 2-1.
Game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. The series is tied as the Zealots start to the left with Grand Paquette on Rhaegar, Mopsio on ETC, Poik on Greymane. We have Zarmany for the top lane pressure on Malthael, and Shad on Genji, the Italian ninja.
On the right side, in the red, it's going to be Kronos playing Ariel, Raid Boss playing the Tyrande. We'll keep an eye on his stacks as he'll be popping those out constantly. Anti-hero will be your Sonya, BKB on Arthas, and Zay with Vala.
All right, so Tyrande is in play here today. We're already having a double block chosen on our 2 frontliners on the side of the good guys. In the terms of Arthas, it's of course Reem. How do you say that? Rhyme?
That's what we're going with.
Okay.
Because it looks like lime.
You have a point.
And those do rhyme.
Yeah.
Hey! Got the flow going.
Just stop right now. The block party chosen for ETC here against the auto attackers. But yeah, so it's a lot about immortal pressure here. And I actually have to say that the Zealots have a pretty sick lineup when it comes to racing Immortals down with a double Lightning Shield, Malthael, and also Greymane. Yeah. But so do the good guys. We're talking about a Tyrande that they can use here. We talk about an arrow build. Once that it's stacked, of course, it's really going to come into play. But there's a lot of lockdown for the good guys. This is a dangerous draft on both sides, and the Zealots need to be really careful, because any kind of lockdown with an Arthur's Howling Blast into a Tyrande stun could deliver a kill for the red team. So this is definitely something where both teams have to be careful. And as we said before, the match matters. It matters a lot. If the Zealots win, they are in the playoffs. They are out of the Crucible range. If they lose, then they have to hope that Fnatic takes down the Ducks. And a lot of people are going to look at that next match that we have later on today between the Ducks and Fnatic and say like, oh yeah, it's going to be 3-0 for Fnatic, of course. That's exactly what we thought at the end of last part of Phase 2. And guess what happened? The Ducks just walked over Fnatic. And right now, the Ducks actually look stronger than ever. So maybe it turns out that the Ducks are Fnatic's kryptonite. So in order to be safe, the Zealots need to win.
That's right. We'll see if they'll be able to get that win later on here as Team Good Guys and Zealots continue to face off. And this is that dance that you were talking about, quite delicate between both these teams. You have to keep an eye on both the tanks. ETC for those power slides underneath the Immortal, but also Arthas, who will control the chokes well. If you ever try to force a fight below him or moving in, especially as that gray main, you will get locked down.
The raid boss so far, not the best track record at getting those stuns in, but of course he's waiting for Arthas with any kind of setup. The Owls are hitting, but so far only 2 stacks. There's the stun against Arthas as he walked in a little bit too far. Mopsy is already thinking about a slide here, and Zarmany is saying hello as well. BKB getting quite some damage pressed upon him. A stun hits this time, but Volk gets healed immediately. So the sustain for the two teams is currently super important, and that's of course where Oriel especially comes into play. Her sustain is fantastic in situations. Just don't run out of mana.
Yeah, if you're Team Good Guys here, you're watching that Rhaegar. The moment that he does get low on mana, that's when you start to really win out on the sustain trades, especially with Tronda constantly poking. So your target is to hit that Grey Main with the Hungering Arrow, have Alice follow up, watch Rhaegar and his mana deplete, and the moment it gets low, start to push the envelope a little bit more aggressively.
Okay, so now we are having a bit more fight potential for Zarmany with the Black Harvest as a level 4 talent. So this is where in Europe a lot of the builds are starting to just deviate a bit. You can either go into throwing shade if you're trying to poke constantly, but mobs, you're talking about poking. It's poked into the ground here and body blocked. But as we said, we have Black Harvest now taken, which allows Zarmany, especially after level 16, to completely go into these fights and try and dominate. With throwing shade, you're usually more so relying on standoffs in the mid lane and trying to poke constantly. And once you hit your level 20, you get another big power spike where it boosts it even more. But for now, it's just all about the race. And this is actually one that the good guys are going to win, thanks to the advantage that they got earlier, thanks to the kill to ETC.
The Hunter Mark and the Hungering Arrow, man. A deadly combo together. As Team Good Guys walk away with a pretty decent shield here. We'll be pushing on that top lane while Sonya heads to the bottom. Going to see how Zealots are going to intend to hold this. And a lot of strategies that you have when you have an ETC and a Grey Main is that you feint an aggressive fight afterwards to try and get your opponents off of the Immortal to allow for you to focus it down.
Yeah, in this case, I wouldn't really get too aggressive, though. That's more so of a late game strategy, I feel, since in the early game that usually Immortal doesn't really do enough damage to warrant that risk.
Yeah, all they're trying to do here is get Arthas away from the Immortal, and that actually happened here with BKB on the right.
I mean, he's just anchoring and making sure that there's no flank actually happening. As long as they get the wall and ideally the fountain, they're going to be happy with this one.
There it goes. Immortal cleaned up. The well does fall. And Team Good Guys take their first Immortal, grab a little bit of experience here, but Zealots holding on nicely.
Yeah, you're right. The Zealots are holding on nicely. The thing is, though, it's the Good Guys who currently dictate the agenda.
Yeah.
And that is something that has at some point to worry the Zealots. And we're coming back to the same that I've been talking about earlier, pressure. How do you deal with it? How is your mindset at this position? And I can tell you that the Zealots got very, very worried about the situation they're in right now. Not only today, but just the entire week when he's been talking to them. They've been just simply saying how bad it would be for them to drop all of a sudden into the Crucible after they just have been doing better and better the entire time. And last week, not being able to play with Mopsio definitely hurt them. There was a huge problem. The match against the Playing Ducks was one of the most important ones in Phase 2, and they lost it barely. Lauber did a fantastic job as a sub-player, but still, it's very different if you can play with your main tank that you've practiced with for months, or if you have to play with someone where you only had 2-3 days to try and make it work.
Especially because it wasn't just the Playing Ducks they lost to. They lost 2 matches that weekend, which were just very painful for them here moving into the weekend. I will say that I think it's a little bit better for Zealots when we get to level 10. My main fear, though, is that Tronda on the other side, getting those stacks. We've already seen it over and over again when you get to the late game, how devastating it can be. Luckily for them, Tronda isn't selling too well so far. Only 8 stacks on top of her out.
Yeah, it's a little bit more difficult to actually get enough stacks here. One of the reasons why Shrimpy was able to get 130 stacks was that Dragon Shire's traditionally in mapper games last very, very long. Battlefield of Eternity, it's kind of the opposite. Maps are usually, like, the games here are a lot faster, a lot shorter than they are on Dragonshire. But overall, Tyrande in those 5 versus 5 situations in the middle of the map can, of course, get her stacks together. And by now, we're seeing Raid Boss to slowly get those stacks. And once 13 hits, it's going to be even faster.
The Immortal race right now is neck and neck. About an auto attack and a half away from each other. We'll go to the halftime show right away. But this is the main fear. Look at this bottom side. Poik and Shatter pushing in with this camp here, looking to get those turrets up. But they do pull away Team Good Guys and their attention from the Immortal. Yeah,
that was a close call, though. If Arthur's Howling Blast connects here, that could have been a dead Greymane. So that was definitely a very, very close call on there. And we have Vala also not completed with the stacking process, not by a long shot. She's done 35 extra damage. That means she has connected 7 arrows of the 20 she needs to complete the quest. So Xay does have additional immortal pressure, but it's not really to an extent where the Zealots immediately have to worry about it. Here's Zarmany again, just throwing out his damage against the Immortals. This is one of the reasons why you oftentimes see throwing Shade taken as a level 4 talent on that map if you feel that you will end up in these standoffs. Right now, BKB also moving in, another arrow connecting right away. It's in a huge, I mean, such a tight race between the two of them. Here comes the connect. Nice cleanse on Greymane, helping him out of the Tyrande stun as they are starting to move in once again. And here comes Sonya pressuring Mopsio and pushing him back heavily.
He is low, but able to heal up. Rhaegar, of course, helping him out on the same side. Anti-hero coming in with Zay, and they're going to start poking there. The race continues, and we have Team Zealots a little bit behind now as Team Good Guys with their slight couple of adjustments. The last couple of fights have got a little ahead.
Talking about adjustments, I want to highlight again that we have Feral Heart taken for Rhaegar, and this is actually, there's a big, I mean, there's a huge upside and a huge downside to taking this talent. First of all, the downside is that on this map, in those standoff situations in the middle, you get a lot of value out of your healing totem. It can be fantastic if it's not immediately taken down by your opponent. But of course, if you go into Feral Heart, you have way more sustain in the long run. And if you're going up against an Oriel, it makes sense to aim for that. The problem is that we are now seeing another Immortal for the Good Guys as they aggressively moved in. The Zealots are somehow trying to get a kill as the Immortal moves down. But the Good Guys are now in an insanely good position. They are going to hit level 10 with this push, and they're going to hit it faster. So if they play this right, they could actually simply jump on the Zealots as they are trying to defend the fort. At this point, you have to be careful, and Leap is chosen. So they have Leap. If at any point we're going to see that Leap coming into play, as Sonya already moves down, this could end in a disaster for the Zealots, and they know it too. They're already retreating. They're giving up the fort.
Shad's trying his best on Genji to get 10 right now. He gets it in the top side, but that fort, you're right, just he's completely obliterated. Team Good Guys should be able to keep moving forward here and at least get the keep wall. Grabbing a keep is definitely viable here if they're able to get a kill or two.
Yeah, right now this is going to be super rough. Anti-hero already inside here against Mopsio. Mopsio has the mosh pit. Here comes Zarmany. Pops his ult and moves in. Anti-hero so far hasn't used anything yet. They move away. And the Zealots are... There comes the Leap. They're trying to go for it. And they go for Malthael. But the mosh pit connects, is immediately interrupted though. But Anti-hero is still dead. And now we are seeing Shad immediately with the Dragon Blade trying to get his kills in. He's low already. He needs to be careful here. BKB turns around with a Howling Blast. But in the meantime, the keep has suffered damage. It's not down. The Immortal has been defeated. But this was still something that already started to hurt the Zealots here. The Good Guys are currently the team that makes the aggressive plays on this map.
Still a close fight. Look at it here. We only have 1-to-1 in kills in this game, but that fight lasted for a good 20-30 seconds back and forth between the two as they took a ward over the heroic choices. Zealots finally do defend their keep, but take a little bit of damage on top of it. Now, moving into the next Immortal phase, we need to see them maybe move in and start to grab the Immortals, because if they keep taking these small disadvantages and keep having to team fight, Team Good Guys will eventually push them out. The Owls continue to come in, only at 24, but remember, 2 talents here, level 13 comes online.
Yeah, another big point is also, though, that Black Harvest for Zarmany is going to be massive once that he has the talent completed. And his 16 is going to give him a huge power spike. So if up to that point they are even, that can help them. Interrupts again. Oh, Anti leaps out, and that's the keep.
Team Good Guys make a bold move, and it pays off well.
Yeah. Anti interrupts the TPs at the top. Wouldn't even have mattered, to be honest. That sneak in was already successful. But that's a keep eliminated. So even with the Zealots getting a huge amount of power spikes later on in the game, on level 16 for example, this is just a massive lead for the Good Guys. And it just shows that when there's no pressure on them, they have a completely different playstyle. And we're seeing that coming into play right now. They go for the fort already, and just look how aggressive the Zealots are right now, because they know they have to do something. They know how much pressure they're under.
And you do have to wonder if the Zealots right now in comms are kind of thinking about what happens if they lose. And that could be weighing them down slightly.
They're not going to be talking about it at this point, but I can guarantee you that there's at least 2-3 players on the team that are exactly thinking about that. What happens if we lose? If we lose right now and Fnatic has a bad day, if somehow there's a couple of good cheese strats, for example, that the Ducks have to take maps off Fnatic, we could lose everything.
Judgment can get clouded, you can make a wrong shot call. Zealots have to be in full control here. They know they have to get this win. Poking on the side as the Immortals will begin for both of our teams. Grabbing that fort in the top right corner does help them slightly as it keeps them even on experience, but Team Good Guys with that keep being killed on the bottom side for the Zealots will have that catapult pressure the Zealots will have to respond to. And
you have to really think about what these players have sacrificed to be here. This is not, for the Zealots, it's not only that they have been around and have been a successful team for ages, they have made their entire way through the open division, where they played tournament after tournament, went through the playoffs, went into the Crucible, qualified. If it's all over after just one season, it would be a disaster. Here comes the jump, the Ancestor comes through, Leap already being used, Harmony jumping in deep, popping the Tormented Souls here, trying to get the kills. The Mosh Pit on the other hand hits too, and this is the end of Arthur's. Great play by the Zealots as they net a double kill against Arthas and Sonya. The front line obliterated, and the Zealots finally gain some momentum in the game where they can now start to go for the Immortal. But keep in mind, first of all, they have to deal with the top lane. Heavy pressure by the camp that the Good Guys took earlier, and at the same time that bot lane is still without keep, so they have to get some value.
Still a massive move there. Grandpa hitting that Ancestor healing, make sure to kite backwards and bait Sonya into possibly going into a fight, and then Mopsia falls up into the perfect mosh pit to lock down 2 targets while Poik cleans up the fight for the Zealots, and they will win a massive Immortal. 27,000 hit points in terms of shields here. Team Good Guys will need to set up for defense.
Yeah, the Good Guys need to somehow defend this right now. And of course, if maybe even an early kill by Mopsio and his team would come in, that would be great. But it's the opposite that happens. ETC is the one that dies, but we have Greymane going in deep. Ah, what a great ult again. Oh! Anti misses the leap but hits the spear, and that's the second kill as Greymane dies. For a long time it looked as if Tyrande would be the first victim here. That's not the case. Instead, we're seeing the Good Guys rotate down and defend. They've been aggressive during all of this, and it has paid off. They're going to lose the fort, but that's all that they're going to lose.
That's right. A fort instead of a keep is always a good trade there, especially with how big that Immortal would have been. If Zealots had played a little bit more patiently, maybe they could have pushed in here with all 5 members. Here's a team fight we had earlier. Tormented Souls going in the top right corner, Poik jumping in, landing that kill on top of Arthas and following up into the Sonya. Again, a good engage earlier from Team Good Guys, but Zealots turn it around there thanks to Rhaegar and the Ancestor heal.
Yeah, and now we have the lead for the Zealots, inexperience, but that bottom keep is the biggest concern for them right now. Without a global on the map, they have to be careful about it. We're already seeing the level 4 talent for Maltheo, of course, completed the Black Harvest. Keep in mind, with level 16, he's going to get a big power spike with Memento Mori. And in the meantime, the Owls are still connecting. We're currently looking at 40 stacks for Raid Boss.
And he's starting to clear that damage threshold that we see often. Only 1,000 behind the Vala, 25k damage to 24k, but we'll see that Tyrande really start to pump out that damage as she keeps putting out the Owls. Shad here actually gets caught out as they are aggressively pushing on the top lane, and this may cost them a kill or two.
Yeah, the Good Guys are just going for full brawl mode at this point. Zarmany will also die. He's just trying to somehow get away, but there's no chance for him to escape. And that's another big kill for the Good Guys. 5 kills against 4, and the pressure on the Zealots is just mounting up. They interrupt Mopsio as he tries to channel back. The fort is going to fall. And for the Zealots, this is really just like, sit tight, accept that you're getting beaten down a little bit, make sure that you get all 5 players back into the game, and then fight for the Immortal. And they just have enough time before for Maltheo to come back before the Immortal spawn.
Still, losing those members is very unfortunate. They had a half a level over their opponent due to the last team fight, and now Team Good Guys actually hit 16 first because of them catching those 2 members. Bit of a mistake there from Zealots, and now going into the next Immortal phase. In terms of experience, we're even footing, but remember, that catapult pressure will continue on the bottom side.
Yeah, the pressure at the bottom side is not only now through the catapult, but also the camp that has just now been taken. So that's another added element to the entire problem they already have. 16 not chosen by Maltheo, and they have to, I mean, they need to fight. They can't waste too much time here because the bot lane is pressuring, as we already said before.
They do chase away Good Guys for now to buy a little bit of time to have Greymane and Rhaegar clear up that bottom. Team Good Guys, the moment they see that, start to push on in with BKB. Get a little bit of poke here. Nice, decent damage here with a 5k lead over their opponents and the damage on the Immortals.
Yeah, we're still waiting for the 16 on Malthael. Still trying to poke away here. Mopsio, position up at the front, nearly stunned. Good cleanse once again. They're starting to become a little bit more aggressive, pushing this forward. And Zarmany still waiting for the 16. In the meantime, the only Immortal is safe, but this is all about the team fight. 16 now chosen. Memento Mori grabbed. This is going to be... This fight could decide the game.
Slow and steady for both of our teams. HGC goes bottom to clear up the catapult. Team Good Guys come over, drop a couple hunking arrows. Every time you walk to the bottom to clear it up, Team Good Guys will take that advantage and grab a little more damage. Moshpit comes in, the leap to deny.
Immediately, but BKB is about to fall. He's nearly dead, and he goes down. Arthur's eliminated, and this is Shat. Shat is completely annihilating the entire team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kills, team wipe, as Shat goes in and obliterates everybody. And now the Zealots, they don't even care about the Immortal. Who needs that thing? They move straight down to the bot lane. They want to get the keep right now. Then they can think about going core, or they can go back to the Immortal and make sure that they get the advantage there.
With them killing the turrets, I'm assuming there's one to get the keep here. So it's looking like Mopsio's taking the damage.
Somebody's going back already. He wants to go for the Immortal. They want to start the halftime show right now.
Get the catapults moving there. That way they can push with the Mortal and the catapults. Mopsio.
Yeah.
Math teacher over here.
If he actually died to this,
I think that would deserve a laugh. Or two. Maybe.
Yeah. That would have been a lack of moment.
Well, Team Good Guys have a chance here to defend. They have all spawn with that keep being grabbed. The catapults will now push on the bottom side for Zealots, so helping mitigate the catapults coming in from Team Good Guys. The race begins as we have Greymane and Malthael on the Immortal on the left. Here comes Poik as well. Should be able to etch out the lead.
Yeah, so they win the race. It's a lot closer than it should have been, but everybody needed to top off mana and hit points, and they actually expected the Good Guys to move in for a fight. So at this point, it's all about the Immortal moving to the top. And it is actually really tight now. The Zealots have a massive lead in experience, but when we're looking at structures, then it is a tie. It still comes down to a last potential fight.
Good Guys looking for that fight, doing the same trick they did last time. Zealots have wisened up. Play safe here, let the Immortal start pushing, wait till they have vision on their opponents before they move out. Now with Good Guys defending on the top side, they can move over.
It was a pretty smart choice here. The reason why the Zealots actually more or less waste their Immortal, there's two reasons to it. First of all, they know the shield is incredibly low, so they know they would have not gotten a lot of value out of it, and they were afraid of a backdoor. They already had very little vision of the bottom lane, and with the catapults pushing it in so hard. So the Good Guys were just in a spot where they needed to hide on the map, and they did not show. They played with the vision, and the Zealots didn't really know where they were. And worst case scenario for the Zealots would have been a move top, and then immediately the Good Guys going for a backdoor and an owl preventing the B-back. So if that happens, then it's basically over, and it might happen anyways. Rhaegar is found and taken out, and they are starting to go in for the core. The Good Guys, they don't want 20 for the Zealots. They want to end the game right now. Mopsio is there. He has Moshpit. We have everybody except for Rhaegar. Without the healer, they somehow need to defend this. Good Guys with a Hail Mary attempt, but we have everybody already on the defense, and this is going to be rough for the Good Guys. I don't think they can make this happen.
Yeah, Zealots need to play it slow and not get baited into a fight. They know that. They just need to sit on the side here with Tormented Souls, Moshpit, Dragon Blade. There's too many tools for Team Good Guys to die to. They feinted aggression, decide not to go forward with the push, and will pull away. But still, some solid moves from them as they have to have someone go back and defend against the push that is coming their way.
Yeah, it was definitely, I mean, it's worth the attempt, and they got the kill against Rhaegar. Their biggest problem is that level 20 that is going to hit soon for the Zealots. Once that's the case, the advantage that the blue team is going to get through this is going to be pretty significant. So that's something that the Good Guys are not only aware of, but they are afraid of it.
20 right around the corner. Zealots grabbing on the top side, and here's the Immortal phase. How will the Team Good Guys dig their way out of this disadvantage against their opponents? Setting up defense is always good. You can have Sonya on the backside, constantly clearing out this lane. She does pretty well there, and she also has the escape with the leap.
Here's the 20. They have their 20 now, and this is already rough. Final curtain has been taken now also by Zarmany on Malthael. No buyback for him.
Bolt picked up here for ETC. So Team Good Guys have to play even more careful. Make sure they're not ever overstepping or grouped up too heavily. Working on the Immortal, they did start the first amount of lead actually, so they can force a halftime show here. buy some time.
Arthas is already in a bit of trouble. There comes Rhaegar with a lockdown against him. BKB needs to be careful. Alright, Rain of Vengeance doesn't really do too much. The stun's not stacking. But the halftime show has been won by the Zealots. So now we're having on the right side the Immortal. This comes down to a fight again, potentially. Zarmany with a slide, trying to grab Antihero. That didn't quite work out. Zarmany with a flank attempt. Also being careful here on the final curtain the entire time, still doing work. The Owl comes through. Top lane is being pressured by the camp that was taken earlier by the good guys. And in the meantime, Zarmany is trying to put the damage in. But the good guys are shocking around and looking for an opportunity to engage.
Mopsio bolts forward. He does have the power slide available. He goes for it. The Tormented Soul is being popped out. It will land a mosh pit on 2 members. Age is being used, but Sonya is a target. She is down. BKB is low, and Chad with a Dragon Blade cleans up number 3, 4, and 5 as he goes in for Kronaz.
Turns out, ninjas are pretty good.
Italian ninjas.
Yeah.
Kaldor.
Exactly. He has a mustache under the helmet.
And Zealots, after an interesting back and forth between our two teams, find solid strength in the late game. We'll grab a Storm Talent advantage, grab the core, and move in and grab a victory, moving themselves up 2-1 over Team Good Guys.
That must be a big relief for the Zealots. This was a close map, and at times the Zealots were far behind, especially after the keeper has fallen. Poik even with a bit of spray game here and moving into the Nexus to just get bounced back out. The Zealots take the lead in the series, but this is a really close battle between the two of them, and the Good Guys show zero respect.
Heck of a series between our two teams. Man, the Good Guys even had a chance there to maybe win the game when they went in for that fight and found that Rhaegar. And again, that's not a bad play by Grandpa. That's an opportunity being made by the Good Guys. They sharked all the way around the map. We had the Rhaegar playing safe there, trying to be in a spot where he could scout for his teammates. Wound up getting picked off, but still the Good Guys making the shot calls here to find a needle in a haystack for a possible win. Just couldn't pull it off.
This could have been a 2-1 for the Good Guys, though.
Could've.
And the Zealots know that, too. So they must be really happy about their lead. One more map, and they are in the playoffs. That's all they need to win.
Let's look at the replay here that actually happened in the last team fight. Now, remember, this is a big advantage here. We had the leap being used a little bit early here. So we see Mopsio go in for an engage. Remember, he did both. He goes into the power side, and the Tormented Souls really seals the deal. You have Kronaz on the left side here, hoping to come in for a detainment strike, but it looks like he didn't have it available.
So I also want to point something out really quickly. Mopsio was paying attention during all of this to Tyrande stun. Of course, there's also Vada to consider, and they might have also paid attention to her a bit with the Rain of Vengeance, but it's more so about the Tyrande stun wherever she's positioned. So when he actually used the bolt, he dodged the stun, and he knew that it was on cooldown at that point. That's why he used the Mosh Pit. He needs to be super careful since there is no Rhaegar that can help him out with the Divine Shield. There's only 2 things that can really help. First of all, a good cleanse from Rhaegar, getting a pre-cleanse through, but the more important part, trying to keep track of your opponent's cooldowns. And once that he realized, alright, I just bolted the stun, and then the next Vala stun came through, and he was just like, okay, everything's on cooldown right now. Even though 3-4 seconds have passed, if I mosh pit right now, there's very little that they can do to interrupt me. So there's still a chance that someone sneaks something in, but he catches the heroes that he has to. And even if he only holds them for 2 seconds, that gives Genji enough time to drop Sonya, and Arthur's already low, and then they can clean house after that. So that was actually super important that with his mosh pit there, he keeps track on the opponent's stuns and makes sure that he gets at least some value out of the mosh pit. And as it turned out, he got the entire duration through, which was, of course, even better.
Well, great patience there from Mopsio, but let's go and take a look at another player here. Poik, who currently plays for the Zealots, has been a mainstay for the 10 weeks that we've had here in HGC as we face him off against Zay. And you can see the KDA here, 4.22. This guy is a monster.
Yeah, I also want to highlight something, though, because Poik is looking really strong here, but I also want to throw in a bit of a caveat, since Xay is actually... he has not really been